Most welcome to Historiespanarna, History Reconnaissance. This is the first US Navy flight nurse on Iwo Jima and Okinawa, 1945. Flight nursing as a profession was unheard of before World War II. Training programs for this was commenced by the US Army Air Force and the US Navy in late 1942 and 1944. The programs were named Schools of Air Evacuation. First classes graduating February 43 and January 45. One of the graduates was Navy Flight Nurse Ensign Jane Kendeigh. During the flights evacuating the wounded from the battlefronts to field and base hospitals, flight nurses were responsible for the lives and well-being of the patients. No physician accompanied her on the flight. In some cases they had to evacuate patients into rafts after ditching in the Pacific, save patients from burning planes after crash landing, or load patients under enemy fire. She was qualified to start IVs and oxygen, and trained to deal with emergencies like shock, hemorrhages and sedation. The island of Iwo Jima was strategically important, being halfway between the US-held Marianas and the Japanese home islands. The Douglas R-4D with Jane Kendeigh descended past Mount Suribachi and landed on Motoyama Airfield No. 1 on Iwo Jima. It was the second of two aircraft departing Guam, but the first to arrive due to the first one getting lost en route. They taxied to one of the hospital tents to start loading the wounded Americans. The Battle of Iwo Jima was fierce, and the cost to capture the island was high. Total American casualties, 26,000, was higher than the estimated Japanese 20,000. However, the number of killed Americans were 6,800. The number of killed Japanese, almost all. Only around 200 were taken prisoner. Fighting was still going on in the northern part of the island when Jane Kendeigh arrived. She and other medical personnel on the flight immediately started to screen and treat the wounded, preparing the most urgent cases for evacuation. It was scary to arrive while the fighting was still going on, but she was too busy taking care of the patients to be afraid. Those feelings came afterwards on the flight back to Guam. When asked how it was to be the only woman in a combat zone, she replied, "Just like any other place," they whistled. 21st, 1945, Jane Kendeigh and her fellow flight nurses contributed to the evacuation of 2,293 wounded Americans from Iwo Jima. Jane was then sent back by the Navy to USA to promote the sale of war bonds. After some time she requested and was sent back to the combat zone, just in time to be the first flight nurse on Okinawa, in addition to being the first one on Iwo Jima. After the war, Jane Kendeigh continued her nursing career in San Diego. She married Lieutenant Robert Cheverton, a US Navy air evac pilot, in 1946.
That's all, folks. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.